Consider this function, defined by f of x is equal to 2x squared minus 3. What is the domain of this function? What are the valid inputs for this equation? Given that we can square any number, multiply any number by 2, and subtract 3 from any number, we say that the domain is all real numbers. We use this symbol, bold-faced R, to indicate the set of all real numbers. So to write our answer, we either say that x is an element of all real numbers, or we use an alternative notation called the interval notation, which you see on the right. In the interval notation, the lower bound is negative infinity, and the upper bound is positive infinity. Between those two extremes are all real numbers. Thus, another way of saying all real numbers is to use the interval notation negative infinity to infinity. How about the formula for the volume of a sphere? What is the domain of this function? Since this is a real-world formula, we know that no sphere has a negative radius. Therefore, the implied domain is any radius that is strictly greater than 0. You can see the notations on the left and on the right are both valid ways to indicate the domain of this formula. How about the square root function? What values are you allowed to square root? Or more importantly, what values are you not allowed to square root? Hopefully you recall that we can only take the square root of a positive number, although we're also allowed to take the square root of 0. Notice the subtle difference in the interval notation when we include the value. The square bracket corresponds to a greater than or equal to. Alright, this is the last one, I promise. What is the domain of this rational function? You may recollect that you are not allowed to divide by 0. In this example, the denominator was equal to 5x plus 15, which, if we set equal to 0, is equal to negative 3. Therefore, we can take any real number except for negative 3. This notation that you see before you is the set of all real numbers from negative infinity to positive infinity, excluding the number negative 3. In total, there will be 3 valid ways to write your answer for the domain of a function. You can use interval notation, you can use inequality notation, or you can use set notation. All of these are valid ways to represent the domain of a function.